How's it going, Welcome back to the Grid Crew North. As you can see here, I'm smiling ear to ear because it seems like, at least for this week, spring has sprung. Today is February 14th, and we've been sitting at about 8 or 9 degrees Celsius, which is 60 for my American friends, for the last 2 weeks. It's very strange. Almost all of the snow has now melted, even though it hasn't really been a snow-filled winter. So I thought today we'd take a quick walk around the lawn, see how things are doing, and we'll talk about some spring lawn tips coming up here on the channel. So without further ado, let's take a walk around the lawn, see what's going on. For those of you who are new here, my name's Wade Murray. I'm a lawn care enthusiast and I've worked in the industry, and my goal here is to help take your lawn to the next level this year. I'm located in Southern Ontario, Canada, and I'm here to help you guys with lawn tips. So if that sounds great to you, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon down below, and we're going to help you take your lawn to the next level this year. So those of you new here, haven't been around for a while, this is my back lawn. It's about 15,000 square feet. It's a mix of creeping red fescue and bluegrass. It gets full sun, and it's pretty flat, as you can see, with a slight hill in the back. And this is fully irrigated with in-ground. So looking at it, I'm not seeing much here going around. The color is actually great, but as I said, it's been a very mild winter. Haven't had a lot of snow, haven't had a lot of cold. I was worried with the lack of snow cover that it was going to pull out that color and we're going to get a lot of burning from the wind, but it doesn't really seem like we're getting a lot of that. Color here is really great. You can actually still kind of see the stripes from the last mow last year. Overall, as I said, color is looking really great. Thatch layer here actually doesn't even look that thick. This should bounce back pretty quick in the spring. Hit it with a dose of fertilizer. I put down not a ton of nitrogen in the back here. I think I only put down a 1/4 pound last fall because I just ran out of time. I was very busy. This is the project for this year, is this shade area over here. So this was kind of a dormant seed in the sense that I did not water it. It only got watered by the in-ground, and my worry is the rain keeps coming down here and washing all this away into my neighbors. So I was trying to establish some seed here, so I had to trim some trees up to get that to happen. And looks like, for the most part, this has come in quite nice in the fall. It's got a decent amount of sun. The grass is coming in here quite well. Similar here along the property line. Looks like all of the grass down in there is coming in quite well. This area just gets so much leaf cover in the fall that it can have a lot of trouble, but this looks quite healthy. I'm happy with it. As long as it keeps coming like this, should be a decently good spring and a decently good stand of turf grass. Heading around the side now, this area over here obviously hasn't really thawed out yet. This faces north. This is probably where the coldest area. I wouldn't be surprised if the ground down here is still frozen. It can be frozen into May some years depending on how cold it got. Down in here though, we're looking a little better. And around the front, now the front gets a lot of wind. The wind comes from that way, shoots across into the woods there. And there used to be more tree cover over there, but those have come down since. So the front does get a lot of wind damage. And I am seeing, from what I can see of the front, a decent amount of it still covered in snow. I'm seeing a lack of color coming in here. For those of you who don't know, the front yard last year was on a full liquid program. It's going to be on a full liquid program again this year. This got 3 pounds in of nitrogen in the fall, so this should be pretty good and set for this spring. And that's the whole idea with this liquid program, right? You're going to spoon feed it. So last fall I spoon fed all of the nitrogen every 2 weeks, and then now that we're in the spring, hopefully this should just bounce right back. I'll probably put a good dose of nitrogen going into May 2-4 before we hit the summer to keep it going. But this is definitely a spoon feeding project. I'm really happy with the way this has gone last year, and I'm looking forward. So this is going to be exclusively Grow Forage products on the front lawn here, and only liquids. We're gonna see what we can make happen here. But yeah, really excited for this front lawn. Help it grow with that Grow Forge liquids. This does not have in-ground irrigation, so we're gonna be irrigating it by hand, but it's gonna look really good. And I might get a new mower this year that we'll be able to test out on this front lawn. Really looking forward to that. So overall, front lawn's looking good. Still a decent amount of snow, so that's that. Here's the side yard talked about before. This was another fully liquid program. This one I was trying to do a little bit more of a low cut program, but this needs some severe leveling. Next spring you can see the divots where the snow is collecting there. This front yard though survived decently well through the winter. It looks pretty good, but again, does not get a lot of sun, so the fact that it's going to stay frozen for longer, it faces north, it's going to suffer some more winter damage is not surprising to me. Plans for the backyard this season, I really want to try to keep this as green and healthy for as much of the summer as I can. So what I'm looking to do is I'm going to try some wetting agents back here. I really want to try to dial in my irrigation for this year. The wetting agents will hopefully help it keep it longer. I'm going to maybe try some liquids back here, but mainly last year I kind of fell off the wagon at the end of the year fertilizer wise, and I really want to get that corrected for this year so we can get this backyard looking pristine this spring, as good as it looked last spring. So without further ado, let's talk about some spring lawn tips, things that you can do this spring to help get your lawn to the next level. I know I'm going to have some videos coming on the future focusing in on certain bits of this video, but this video is going to be a general overview of all those spring lawn tips from beginning to end in the spring. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Now the first part of the spring lawn tip is as simple as it gets. We're going to talk about waiting. Now I know if you're just like me, as soon as the season starts, right now we're only mid-February, and looking ahead at our 14-day forecast, the snow is going to be coming back and the cold temperatures are going to be coming back. This is not even the beginning of spring. So if you're like me, you're going to get excited and you're going to want to get out there and start doing stuff. You need to practice a little bit of patience and wait for the time to come. As I said, the grass does not start growing until soil temps hit 50 degrees. Last time I took a temperature here, we're at 38, and I expect that to drop back down again. So pretty much we're still around zero. Nothing's happening soil wise here. This grass is not growing for at least another month, probably about a month and a half. So what I'm saying is, don't get out there, start raking, trying to throw down pre-emergence. Even though it may look like spring is here, it definitely isn't here yet. So practice some patience. Keep on top, keep looking at your 14-day forecast, look at your farmer's almanac, your extended 2-month forecast, see what's going to be coming up here. But I can guarantee if you're anywhere in the Great Lakes area near me, nothing's going to start happening lawn-wise till about mid-March. That's when you're going to be able to get on top of things. This year, if it's a little earlier, it might be early March, but there's always a storm after you think winter's done. It always comes back and bites you. So make sure you're thinking ahead, looking at your 14-day forecast, looking what's happening in the lawn, and seeing what's going to happen for the future. So talking about pre-emergence, let's get into pre-emergence. What is a pre-emergent? A pre-emergent is a chemical barrier that basically stops the weeds from emerging in the spring. Therefore, it's a pre-emergent weed control, a weed control before the weeds emerge. You can do this in the spring. You have to put it down as soon as those weeds are about to emerge. The soil temperature at 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Now this can be very hard to time. Soil temperatures fluctuate and it can be very hard to hit that pinpoint. Don't be worried if you put down your pre-emergent and then you see your lawn reverse back into a colder snap, or the weather cold snaps a little bit. Don't be worried about that. You want to try to time it as best as possible, but nobody's perfect. You can't time things like this. The weather's going to do what it's going to do. Maybe your pre-emergent might not be as effective this year, but that's nothing to worry about. And let's talk about not doing pre-emergence for my Canadian friends or my American friends. If you have a great lawn like I do and it's quite thick and healthy, maybe this is the year that you skip the pre-emergence. Now I know a lot of people might get a little upset about this, and I'm not trying to get all green and everything like that, but what I'm saying is what we're looking at coming down the pike here is that a lot of these prevention or weed control chemicals are going to get banned or removed. And whatever your stance is on that, the less we use now, the longer we'll be able to use them for. So if we can use them sparingly, use them when we only need to use them, not just immediately jump to using them, that is the best solution. When we're talking about weed control and preemptive weed control, if you are gonna only have 4 or 5 grass your crabgrass plants in your lawn this year, pre-emergent is not really something that you're looking at needing. You can probably post-emergent spray out those small sections of crabgrass during the year this year. But if you are looking at, my lawn was filled with crabgrass last year, pre-emergent is definitely for you. And if you're creating a sports field playing surface, pre-emergent is something you definitely want to think about. And if your lawn's really thin and you're going to be looking at seeding this spring, pre-emergent is definitely out of the window for you. You cannot apply pre-emergent and seed at the same time, or else that will affect the germination rate of your seed. Now there is a delay between that where you can apply pre-emergent, seed after, or apply pre-emergent and seed certain spots, and don't put the pre-emergent in spots you're seeding. But if you're getting into that point, it just makes more sense. Skip the pre-emergent for this year. Focus on seeding and strengthening your lawn. Having a great healthy stand of turf grass is going to be your ultimate pre-emergent coming in to the summer and taking care of that lawn. Now for my Canadian friends, basically the only option we have for pre-emergent is corn gluten. Basically what it is, it's a byproduct from the production of corn, and for those of you who don't know, the rate that it has to go down is about 14 pounds per 1,000 square feet. So not only does that almost give you a full pound of nitrogen in the spring, because the chemical breakdown of corn gluten, it has a chemical breakdown and it's giving you some nitrogen value, but basically you're putting it down so heavy that it shades out your root system and stops those weeds from emerging. So for those of you who are looking to do corn gluten this year, if you have a small lawn, I definitely recommend it. Will probably help you, but you have to be ready to mow. Now you're going to have a significant flush of growth because of the amount of nitrogen you're putting down in the spring, and because you're putting down that much nitrogen this spring, you're definitely going to see a little bit more lagging as soon as that nitrogen wears off when you get into the summers. Corn gluten, it's definitely something that can work for a smaller lawn. For larger applications, it just doesn't make sense. 14 pounds per 1,000 square feet means that in order to do my backyard, I would need over 200 pounds of corn gluten, and that just doesn't make any sense for me. So skip the pre-emergent this year. I've never applied pre-emergent in my lawn, and I've had great success with it as far as it goes. All right, so now that we got pre-emergent on the way, let's talk about spring seeding. Now, spring seeding is something that a lot of people want to do. Their lawn was not up to par in the fall, and they're looking at taking it to the next level this spring with seeding. Now, let me try to talk you out of that. Spring seeding can be very difficult, as I said, springs are very unpredictable. You could have a stretch like this where, it's perfect seeding conditions for about 3 weeks, and the next thing you know, you snap right back into winter and your seed is all dead and gone, and it's a complete waste. So if I can try to talk you out of spring seeding, if your lawn is more than 30% grass, so that means if you look at your lawn, it's full of weeds, but there's 30% turf in there, you can work with that for this season and then do a fall renovation in the fall. The weather for renovating in the fall is a lot more consistent. It's a lot easier to establish turf then than it is to establish it now in the spring. Work with it fertilizer wise, and you can work with that in the fall. Now, if your lawn is no grass, you're seeding a brand new lawn this spring, it is possible, and I'm going to be doing a spring seeding over there this year, and I'm going to show you how it ends up turning out. But you're going to end up struggling with it, and you're going to have to work with it throughout the summer, and you need to manage your expectations, knowing that this spring seed may not last through the summer, and I'm going to have to water it, and I'm going to have to be on top of it and keep it alive throughout the summer to keep that spring seeding worth it. So if your lawn is 30% grass or less, spring seeding is something you can think about. Forget about pre-emergent. You're going the seeding route this spring. You're going to establish a nice healthy lawn. You're going to have to baby it through the summer, but that's what you're going to think about. And then maybe you're going to have to do another fall renovation to give you the fully established lawn you're looking for. So it is possible. Just know that the risks are higher, and if your lawn is 30% grass or more, stop thinking about seeding in the spring. Forget about it. You're going to push your lawn with fertilizer and nutrients, and that's how you're going to take your lawn to the next level. Now let's talk quickly about walking around, what I'm looking for first thing in the spring once the snow melts. If you go walking around your lawn, what you're kind of looking for, your thatch layer. So your thatch layer is the layer of dead material that grows between the grass surface and the soil. As you can see here, the thatch layer is a little thicker. The spring is a great time to remove that layer, to get at it with a spring rake or a thatch rake. Remove that thatch layer before the grass gets healthy. It's a great time to remove that layer because normally a lot of it tends to build up over the winter when some of your grass tends to die off. So removing that thatch layer around mid-March is a great thing to do in the spring, as well as looking for snow mold. Snow mold is a mold that forms in between the snow. If there's moisture trapped in between the snow and the grass surface, it's kind of a spider webby mold. There's a little bit of it right here. The best way to remove snow mold is just to go at it with a spring rake, break those pores up. It is a fungus. but it's not going to do any major damage. It's more of a visual thing. Once your lawn starts growing, it will take care of itself and it will repair itself, just like the snow mold was never there. But getting up and breaking up those pores before they can get worse is definitely a good thing. So when you go to do your dethatch, break up those snow mold pores at the same time. If you don't have a lot of dethatch to make, just go around, break up those snow mold pores, and try to loosen up some of that matted grass too. As I pointed out over there, some of the grass is really matted from the snowpack. Loosening up that grass, getting that airflow to the soil can really help get your lawn started this spring. Now let's talk about fertilizer. Everybody's favorite thing. Spring is always the time everybody runs out, buys fertilizer. They're ready to take their lawn to the next level this year. Now, spring is a great time to fertilize and push nutrients in your lawn. There's a lot of natural things happening that is already making the lawn ready to grow. The temperatures are perfect. However, fertilizing a lot in the spring transfers to a lot of shoot growth. So that's everything you see above the ground and not a ton of root growth, which is what you see below the ground. Now, shoot growth is really great. It can help give you a thicker lawn. However, root growth is what helps gives you a healthier, more long-lasting lawn. And if you're trying to get your lawn to last through that drought in the summer, more root growth is what you're looking for. So if you're looking to really help strengthen your lawn this spring and you did not put down any fertilizer last year, I would say go ahead. You can put down a half to a full pound of nitrogen this spring. You need to start that between as soon as your soil temperatures hit 50 degrees, put down a fertilizer application, put down one around May 2-4 Memorial Day weekend, and then put down another one around Canada Day or July 4th. That's going to help push your lawn through this spring with your 3 fertilizer applications, about a quarter pound of nitrogen each application. If you did fertilize in the spring and you push nitrogen in the fall, pushing nitrogen in this spring is not the biggest deal. So what I would recommend for you, if you can, check out the link in the description, get yourself some Grow Forage products, try to push some micronutrients this spring, try to help get the lawn kick-started that way. You can give your lawn a little bit of a boost around mid-May with a little fertilizer application. Give it a kickstart with about a quarter pound or even less than that of nitrogen, just to get things going. As soon as you burn through that nitrogen you apply in the fall, you're really going to help get things going in the May there, and that's going to carry you right into the summer. I'm doing that this year in my lawn. I applied lots of fertilizer to the front and the side. The liquid programs, this backyard did not get any last year, so last fall. So we're going to be working with this nitrogen in the spring instead of the fall, trying to push it as hard as we can. So stay tuned for that. But definitely, if you push nitrogen in the fall, hold back a little more. If you did not push in the fall, make sure you're going a little heavier this spring. That's going to help give you a thick, healthy lawn going into the summer. A couple other small things to touch on. Weed control in the spring can be very helpful. Just make sure that if you're applying post-emergent weed control, it must be applied on actively growing grass. So applying weed control right now where the grass is not growing is not going to do anything, because the grass has to intake that chemical. So applying weed control has to be applied on actively growing grass. Make sure you're not applying it when it's going to be raining the next day or raining the day of, or windy. So weed control is definitely something you can do in the spring. Make sure you follow the temperature regulations on the label and make sure you're applying it to actively growing grass. Talk about mowing. Your first mow in the spring is going to be done at a lower height. If you live in the cool season grass, I'm going to encourage you to do your first mow at 3 inches. That's just basically going to help clean up all those dead tips. So anything frost damaged here like these, mowing a little lower is just going to help break those tips off. And then that's going to give you a cleaner, nicer look, help clean up all that garbage. If you have a bagging option, I would bag your first mow, just remove all that garbage. That's just going to create more thatch. That stuff is not really nutrients filled. Once you've done that, then you can go back to mulching and slowly raise your height to 3.75 or 4 inches, depending on where you want to end up. And that's going to bring you through the rest of the summer as soon as the hot temperatures start. But starting at that 3 inches, moving up to that 4.7. And in the spring, you need to make sure you're only cutting 1/3 of the grass off at a time. So the grass can really grow a lot in the spring sometimes, right? If it's raining a lot. So make sure you're only cutting off 1/3 of the grass plant at a time. That's really going to help give you the healthiest grass. So what you're looking at probably is cutting maybe once every weekend, and then a midweek mow as well. That's really going to help you give you a healthy stand of turf grass. A couple final things here. Irrigation. Spring is known as a very wet time. A lot of people overthink or don't think that irrigation is needed in the spring. However, there can be dry springs. Last year we had a very dry spring, and the year before that we also had a very dry spring where irrigation is necessary. So making sure that you're looking at what's going on in your lawn, you're looking at your weather patterns, you're measuring your rainfall. You need about 1 inch to 1.5 inches of rain per week. If you're not getting that, supplementing with irrigation will really help your lawn keep going throughout the spring. A dry spring just leads to an even drier summer. which most of the time leads to problems in the fall for your lawn. And leveling, a lot of times over the winter, a lot of settling happens in the lawn, especially if you had some work done in the summer. When that winter happens, that's when that settling happens, and you might want to be looking at leveling out some spots. I'm going to be doing some minor leveling on my side yard this spring, as well as the spring seeding, and we're going to see how that goes. So make sure you stay tuned for that. We're going to be doing that coming up this spring. So without further ado, that's pretty much it for the heavy spring lawn tips. My final words of wisdom would be to you that a lawn is just a lawn, and there's many years to work and perfect your lawn. You can get your lawn from nothing to that perfect 80% lawn in one season, no problem, and I'm going to help you do that. But those last 20% can take a lot of work and a lot of effort. I've been working on my lawn for about 8 or 9 years now almost, and I'm still not there. So every season you chip a little thing away, you work at it, you work at it, and work at it, and that's how you're going to get the best lawn on the block. So don't get discouraged if things happen. If you've listened to my podcast, I talk about many mistakes I've made on my lawn that have led to issues in the future. Don't get discouraged about stuff like that. Doing those steps, working out your lawn, that's going to give you the best lawn on the block. So without further ado, I hope this video helped you. I hope that you're looking forward to working on your lawn. I hope your lawn's looking good after the winter, and that let's hope that the spring comes soon and we can get back to lawn work as soon as possible. From the Great Green North, my name is Wade Murray. Thank you guys for watching this video. As always, leave any questions you have down below, or you can reach out to my website, greatgreennorthlawncare.ca, or my email, greatgreennorthlawncare@gmail.com. As always, take care guys, and keep it green.